You're at dinner with friends, and someone mentions they did something or met someone who was everyone's favorite. Everyone's nodding, impressed, asking questions, and you're sitting there thinking, okay, but what did they actually do? You're not trying to be negative. You're genuinely confused about what everyone else is seeing. And it's not the first time you felt like you're watching the world through a different lens. But here's the thing. There's actual psychology behind why you're wired this way. Most people assume that if you're not easily impressed, you must think you're better than everyone else. Society tends to label this behavior as arrogance or emotional coldness. But that's a massive misunderstanding of human behavior. The truth is, not being easily impressed isn't about superiority. It's about how your brain evaluates authenticity, competence, and emotional safety. People like you aren't looking down on others. You're just operating with a different filter, one shaped by your experiences, your self-awareness, and your emotional intelligence. So what's actually happening in your brain? There are two psychological patterns at play here. First, there's something called pattern recognition. If you've been exposed to a lot of people, ideas, or behaviors throughout your life, your brain has built a massive database of what's genuine and what's performance. When someone tries to impress you, your brain automatically cross-references that behavior with past experiences, and if it doesn't pass the authenticity test, you just don't feel moved. It's not a choice, it's how your mindset has been shaped. Second, there's the concept of earned trust. People with high emotional intelligence tend to reserve their admiration for people who demonstrate consistency over time, not just charisma in the moment. Your brain is essentially protecting you from investing energy into people who haven't proven themselves reliable or real. It's a self-awareness mechanism. You're not being cold, you're being selective about where your emotional energy goes, because you understand human behavior well enough to know that not everyone deserves that access. And here's what's important to understand. This trait is actually neutral. It's not better or worse than being easily impressed. It's just different. The reason it gets misunderstood is because we live in a culture that rewards enthusiasm and instant connection. So when you don't perform that excitement, people assume you're judging them. But you're not. You're just waiting to see if there's substance behind the surface, and that's a completely valid way to navigate the world. People like you often protect themselves and others from shallow relationships, manipulation, or emotional exhaustion. You're not trying to be difficult, you're trying to be honest with yourself about what actually resonates with you. That's self-awareness, not snobbery. That said, there is one thing to stay aware of. Sometimes this mindset can make it harder to let people in, even when they are genuine. If your brain is always scanning for red flags, you might miss green ones. You might hold people at arm's length a little longer than necessary, not because they haven't earned your trust, but because your brain is still gathering data. And that's okay to notice about yourself. It doesn't mean you need to change. It just means understanding your own patterns helps you make better choices about when to stay cautious and when to soften. So, if you've ever felt weird about not being as excited or amazed by people as everyone else seems to be, just know you're not broken, you're not cold, you're not missing something. Your brain is just wired to value depth, consistency, and realness. And in a world full of performance, that's actually a form of emotional intelligence. It means you know yourself well enough to recognize what matters to you. And that clarity, that's not something to apologize for. You're allowed to be selective. You're allowed to wait before you trust. And you're allowed to need more than surface-level charm to feel genuinely connected to someone. If this felt like it was describing you, you're not alone. A lot of people experience this quietly. You can share your experience in the comments, or just read others and realize how common it really is. And if you want psychology that helps you understand yourself without tearing you down, this channel is for you. Hit subscribe